The movie begins with a shot of the ocean floor, slowly rising toward the surface. Jen is lying unconscious at the edge of the beach. When she regains consciousness, she notices Brad lying nearby, also unconscious. Jen rushes over to him, and as she turns him over, she sees pieces of coral embedded in his stomach. Brad is barely alive. Panicked, Jen calls out for help, but no one responds. She removes her backpack and life jacket, then drags Brad further up the shore. Carefully, she pulls the rock from his abdomen and uses her scarf to apply pressure on the wound. Desperate for something to help, she runs into the jungle at the edge of the beach. There, she finds a coconut, cracks it open with a stone, and rushes back to Brad. But when she pours the water into his mouth, she realizes it's too late. Brad has already died. Heartbroken, she then ventures into the jungle and comes across a clearing. Hanging on a tree, she finds a bag and a red cooler. Excited, she calls out again, hoping to find someone, but no one answers. Inside the bag and cooler, she discovers bottles of Coke, but leaves them behind and continues searching. Nearby, she spots a thermos flask and a small tin case. Opening the case, she finds a deck of cards, a box of matches, and a few other items. She also comes across an abandoned tent canvas covering a backpack. Inside the bag are an old Game Boy, a car radio, a book, and a teddy bear. When Jen walks back toward the beach, she hears noises coming from a hollow tree. Investigating, she discovers it's just a tropical bird. Later, she covers Brad's body with palm fronds and looks around. The only things in sight are endless sand and ocean. That night, heavy rain pours down. Jen shelters under palm fronds, using a jacket as cover. By morning, she finds small fish washed ashore. As she collects them, trying to clean the fish with a flat stone, she struggles and eventually gives up. She sits by the cooler, sifting through her belongings. Opening her diary, she realizes the ink has been washed away. Inside, she finds a photo of herself and Brad. Later, in the jungle, Jen stumbles upon another clearing. There, she finds a burial site for 3 people. Spooked, she rushes back to the beach and returns to Brad's body, which has started to smell. She drags him inland, digs a shallow grave, and buries him. That evening, Jen roasts some fish for dinner. But the next morning, she is horrified to see that Brad's grave has been disturbed. His body is mutilated and dragged into the jungle by someone or something. Shaken, Jen sharpens a stick and ventures into the forest to investigate, but finds nothing. The following day, she spots something floating in the distance. Swimming out, she discovers a bucket and a piece of luggage. Diving deeper, she sees a dark, gaping hole on the ocean floor. She retrieves the items and returns to shore. Inside the box, she finds sneakers and clothing. That night, she changes into the new clothes and sneakers. Sitting by the fire, she suddenly hears the sound of an airplane overhead. She grabs the flare gun and fires, but the first shot fails. The second shot works, glowing brightly in the sky. She waits anxiously for a response. But as the flare fades over the horizon, Jen sees something terrifying, a humanoid monster rising from the ocean. Terrified, she grabs her stick and runs into the jungle, hiding. She stays quiet until the creature finally leaves. The next day, Jen examines the photos again. One shows a woman holding the same bag Jen had found earlier, but in the background are 2 glowing dots. Uneasy, she decides to make a raft. She empties the box, places the life jackets inside, and tries to use it as a flotation device. She drags it into the ocean and climbs on, but the makeshift raft collapses under her weight. Frustrated, she throws the box back to shore. That night, Jen sleeps inside the hollow tree, clutching her weapon. Sure enough, the monster returns. It rolls the log she's inside, trying to force her out, but Jen remains silent. After a tense moment, the creature moves on. By morning, a terrified Jen emerges from the log. Later, she catches a small shark, using fish as bait. She then uses the shark as bait for the monster. That night, she hides in a lookout spot, watching the hanging shark. She closes her eyes briefly, but when she opens them, the shark is gone. The ropes are frayed. The next morning, she spots a body floating in the water. Swimming out, she discovers a man's mutilated corpse, cut in half. She drags the body back and hangs it the same way as the shark. At night, she hides again, watching the monster claim the body and drag it back into the ocean. Later, she hears another airplane overhead. Before she can act, she notices the monster's feet nearby. She stays still until it leaves. The next day, Jen makes a hammock high in the trees using a canvas, creating a safe watchtower. That night, during a thunderstorm, she waits in her hammock. Lightning flashes, and the monster spots her. Jen lies flat, trying to stay silent, but the creature approaches, pulling at the hammock. She falls to the ground. The monster lunges, but Jen grabs her weapon and runs to the beach. The creature bursts from the water, chasing her. She fights back, stabbing at it, but the monster flings her aside and kicks her into the waves. Now injured and terrified, Jen stumbles back into the jungle to recover. The following morning, Jen examines her wounds, takes a bath in the ocean, and changes her clothes. As she's putting on her sneakers, a raft appears on the horizon. On board are her friend Mia and her boyfriend Lucas. As soon as they reach the shore, Jen hugs Lucas and breaks down crying as he comforts her. Meanwhile, Mia begins examining the island. Later, they both admire the island's beauty, but Jen warns them that they should leave as soon as possible. Lucas and Mia look at her in disbelief, but Jen insists the island isn't safe. She tries to explain about the monster, but neither of them believe her. Jen shows them the pictures she found, pointing out that the glowing dots in the distance are the monster's eyes. Lucas suggests they wait and see if anyone else shows up, while Mia even suggests that Brad might still return. Jen tells her the truth, that Brad is dead, she buried him, and the monster dug him up. Mia walks away, shaken, while Lucas asks for a description of the creature. Jen says it's massive, has 2 glowing eyes, and smells awful. Mia then tries to convince Jen of the hopelessness of leaving on the raft, but Jen replies that she'd rather die out there than on the island. Mia counters that Jen has no idea how hard life on a raft would be. Jen leaves Mia and goes to Lucas, who's examining the flare gun. She tells him the best direction to travel is west, since she's seen many airplanes flying that way. Lucas doesn't reply. Jen admits it all sounds crazy, and he agrees, but she pleads with him to believe her. He says he does, he just needs time to process it. Jen borrows Lucas's Swiss Army knife and heads into the jungle to get more food. While cutting fish, she notices blood already on the knife. She glances back at Lucas and Mia, who are talking in the distance, then continues her work. When she returns, Lucas and Mia tell her they're not leaving. No matter what Jen says, they refuse to get on the raft, at least not that night. Frustrated, Jen goes into the water to calm down. When she looks back, she sees Lucas and Mia walking away together. Meanwhile, Jen quietly approaches the raft. As she pushes it into the water, Mia and Lucas spot her and run to stop her. In the struggle, Jen kicks Mia in the face. Mia retaliates, hitting Jen with a paddle, knocking her unconscious in the water. When Jen regains consciousness, it's dark. She's tied to a tree. Mia sits nearby and explains that Lucas has gone to scout the island. Jen begs her to untie her, insisting she's telling the truth, but Mia accuses her of always making things up. Lucas soon returns, saying he saw nothing unusual. Jen pleads with him to untie her. He agrees, but only if she promises not to do anything reckless. He blames her for their situation, saying they were fine until she insisted she didn't want to be on the boat. Now they're all trapped. Jen argues it isn't the time to fight, but Lucas bitterly claims that even if she escaped and found help, it would only be because he paid for her life. He accuses her of betrayal, saying she was ready to leave him to starve. Their argument is cut short by Mia's terrified scream. Lucas grabs a burning log from the fire and runs toward her. The beast already has Mia in its grasp. Lucas strikes it with the torch, forcing it to drop Mia, but it turns on him instead. The monster slams Lucas before diving back into the water. Jen manages to cut herself free. Lucas tries to reach Mia in the water, but before he can, the monster pulls her under. The next morning, Jen urges Lucas to come down from the tree where they spent the night. He hesitates, but she reassures him that the monster never appears in daylight. Together, they go to the beach, catch fish, smoke them, and pack supplies. Then they set out on the raft. As Jen steps inside, she notices blood on the floorboards. Lucas starts paddling when suddenly, the monster's hands swipe at him from the water. He scrambles into the raft, and Jen arms herself with a weapon. The beast rams the raft from below, tearing through the bottom and thrusting its head upward. Lucas fires the flare gun but misses. He tries again, and this time the flare hits, forcing the creature back into the sea. Jen exhales in relief, only for the monster to lunge again, pulling her into the water. It drags her down to the ocean floor. She struggles but manages to stab it with a Swiss Army knife. The beast releases her and sinks, but just as she rises toward the surface, it reappears, attacking Lucas, who has dived in to save her. The monster seizes Lucas and pulls him into the dark abyss. Jen, barely surviving, washes back onto shore. The raft also drifts back, broken. Determined, Jen reignites the fire. She begins writing a memoir of her time on the island, leaving proof of what happened. Then, she gathers sticks, sharpens them into weapons, and even exhumes the buried family's remains, carving their bones into deadly points. She prepares for a final showdown. That night, Jen lures the monster onto shore with baited fish and surrounds it with fire. She charges, stabbing it with sharpened sticks before retreating into hiding. The creature searches for her, but Jen reemerges, stabbing it twice in the leg. Enraged, it throws her against a tree. As she recovers, Jen notices it's bleeding. She quickly grabs another hidden weapon and stabs the beast again. The fight intensifies. Each time the monster charges, Jen counters with sharpened sticks and bones, wounding it further. Finally, the beast grabs her by the leg, lifts her by the face, and nearly crushes her. But Jen pulls a sharpened bone from her pocket and repeatedly stabs it in the chest. The monster roars in pain, drops her, and collapses. Jen, exhausted but defiant, returns to its body and beheads it. As the camera pulls back, we see the wide shot of the beach, with the jungle burning in the background. So that's it. Hope you enjoy the story. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more videos.